Greetings. This is a very short video on how to use a program called KeyCollect, also known as KC for short. This video, before you watch this video, it's important that you have the KeyCollect program already installed on your computer. There is another video that's very short, it's 4 minutes long, that covers how to save and use a brand new KeyCollect file. And this is a very important video because it's very important as a surveyor that you're using the correct version of KeyCollect, because questionnaires do get updated. Whenever a questionnaire is updated, you want to make sure that you're using the last version of the KeyCollect files that you receive from your project manager. So that video covers how to save a KeyCollect file and then how to open it from your hard drive. But what I'd like to talk with you about today briefly is just some of the basic elements of using KeyCollect once you have the file open. And on the screen, I have a KeyCollect file opened up. I've used fictitious patient names for confidentiality. And this KeyCollect file has 17 forms completed. And I know this because it says up in the upper left, form 17 of 17. So I am on the last form out of 17. Now if I want to scroll back and view a previous survey, I just hit the arrow to the left and that'll take me to the previous form, which is form 16. If I want to jump to a form, let's say I want to jump to form 3, I would just type it here and then click jump to form. Okay, so that's basically how to move around in KeyCollect. Now as you complete new surveys, let's say that I want to input a brand new survey, just go to the very end of this, and when I type in this last response, which is already filled in, but let's say I'm making it Amerigroup, and I hit enter, I can just click, or actually at any point I can just click this arrow and move to a blank form. So now I'm on new form 18, which has no data inputted into it. Okay. Now I recommend that when you conduct your interviews, before you start inputting information, you conduct the interview first, and then as soon as you hang up that call, fill in the patient name as well as the encounter date and then the background information. Now we do have some surveyors who will just fill in the patient name and the encounter date when they complete the survey, because they like to process their background questions in the morning when they're not in the groove, so to speak, with phone calls, because this takes a couple minutes to plug in, because this is after you hang up and you want to fill in this information accurately. So most surveyors will do this right after the call ends, but you can, if you'd rather, do this at a separate time when you're doing more administrative type activities. Just make sure that you do fill in the patient name and you have your roster marked in a way that you can quickly find those surveys in a green row. And I would do it very soon after you complete the calls. So I hope that made sense. But anyway, you want to complete the interview, and you just input, you either click on the selection here, or if it's only got a few options, I usually just would type in, like if they say good, I'll just type in the number 3. If it's new, I know that's a 1, because the numbers go from left to right. So if it's new, that's a 1. Here, there's so many items on the scale that it's a little harder, so you have to kind of reference this. So if they say I was referred by the school, I would just go over to referred by the school and double click it. And then here again, you can use the numbers. It's just a little faster on these areas. Just be careful that you're inputting accurately. It's very important that you don't have keystroke errors here, because this will dramatically affect the reporting and the numerical scores, because we are only sampling a few patients. Even one error can have a pretty big impact. So be careful with that, and you just go through and you fill in your answers as you're completing the survey with the respondents. And the skips are built in, so if I had said no here, it'll jump automatically. And so you fill in your responses, you type your comments here. If you need to make more room for your comments to see them and to proof them, you can do so here. Okay, so type in your comments as needed. And I use the tab button when I want to jump from a comment question to the next question. You can also go back when you're here and probe areas that scored low. So if I had that poor poor score here on number 18, I would then probe and get more detail on that. These details are very important. And as you're getting details, try to avoid the use of a lot of pronouns like he, she, they, them, because it's not always clear who he, she, they, or them is referring to. So you always want to use things like the front desk staff or the nursing staff, or just to make it as clear as you can on those comments. And then you fill in your background questions, and then once you're done, you can scroll to the next form. Now you have a blank form. Okay. If I need to go back to that form, I just click here, and I can go back to it. So it's kind of like you just go back and forth, you know, as navigate using this form feature up at the top. And then finally, very important, please proof your comments. Now, if you upload a KeyCollect file, so you just need to remember where you saved your KeyCollect file, and then you go into Ignite, and you find the KeyCollect file, and you upload it. And there's another video that covers that in great depth, which is how to use Ignite. But in any event, whenever you upload a KeyCollect file, any changes you make after you upload it will then be imported into our master database the next time you upload. So in other words, let's say I've got this mess here, and I upload, and the project manager imports the KeyCollect files. Whatever is in this file will import on their end. Now let's say I fix this. This is now fixed, okay? And then I delete this, okay? And then I upload again. Now when that project manager imports, these changes I just made will reflect on their end in their database. Okay, so it's a wonderful program because you don't have to worry about saving things. Every time you scroll to a new form, it saves automatically. So what I just did now, for example, is saved. If I come back, I'll see it. This is now fixed. So it saves every time you do that. So you don't have to worry. It's kind of like a receptacle, if you would, that just updates automatically, and then you keep on sending these forms. Or you just send the whole file to your project manager, and whatever you changed will be updated automatically on their end. Okay? And then at the end of the quarter or the end of the month, you may get a request to delete your forms. And if that's the case, you just go Form, and then you go Delete Form if you want to delete one form. But if you want to delete a bunch of forms, you go Database Mass Delete. And if I wanted to delete all these forms in the database and clear out my KeyCollect file, I would just go All 18 Forms, Delete Forms Completely, and then click OK. Okay, but very important, you only do that if your project manager tells you to do that. Okay, and that you specify the time period that you want to delete. All right, so in this case it would be all 18 forms, but if you wanted to delete just forms 1 through 15, you could also do that. So I hope that helps. It's a very user-friendly program. It's not complicated. Sometimes people make it more complicated than it needs to be. It's really not. But if you have any questions, again, I would just encourage you to watch the videos dealing with how to use Ignite, and then how to save and use a new KeyCollect file, and then this one, the ABCs of using KeyCollect. I hope this helps. Again, thank you very much for your time.